Welcome to Following On India. Chetan Narula is joining me, Neil Manthorp, to review the third day of the second Test match from the Basapara Stadium in Guwahati. Another day of complete domination for South Africa. I never thought that I'd be saying that when this series began, but do you know, Chetan, it reminds me of. I know there'll be lots of fallout and negative
Mm.
feedback, and I know that there'll be a lot of criticism of the Indian team. But Steve Waugh always had a saying as a captain. He said, if you can take the opposition into a fourth session or even into a fifth session, that's as good as three wickets. They'll come out to bat, three down effectively, and that's what happened. Really,
Mm.
it's easy to point at a lot of below par performances from India. We should pay due credit to South Africa, but it was the length of time that they were kept in the field. Players get tired, they turn on each other. They were in the field for 151 overs, and I think that probably explains most of the below par performance by India.
Well, hello, Neil, and hello to all our viewers. Yes, I think it's a great day for South African cricket once again. And I think in 6 days of Test cricket in this series, I think what five and a half have belonged to South Africa. And that just goes to tell a story. And in fact, it tells the entire story of the series. Yes, we discussed yesterday that South Africa, their plan worked brilliantly. They wanted to keep India away from good batting conditions. Indian bowling has off late in the last few years struggled against the lower order, but not to perhaps this extent on home ground. So yeah, I think the damage was done yesterday. We spoke at length about the second session yesterday, how the body language was very different, and the Indians were clearly lacking in the field. The captaincy was a bit haywire. The bowlers didn't have a plan C, didn't know what to do really, and you could see the differentiation in terms of mindset, in terms of body language, in terms of plans. Um, you just have to look at the first hour of play today. Yes, I think the first hour of play was the only positive for India because Yashasvi Jaiswal added those runs. Rahul was looking solid. What they added 65 runs. That's a fair clip in that first hour of play. Um, However, you could see the way the spinners were operating. Keshav Maharaj, Simon Harmer, and Marco Jansen have grabbed all the bowling headlines in the series. But Keshav Maharaj had one of his better spells this morning. He was hitting the right areas, especially against KL Rahul. But the pace with which he bowled, that was brilliant to watch. And I think Kuldeep Yadav from yesterday, from day two, could have taken a leaf, with the pace with which Keshav Maharaj was bowling today, or in fact, Washington Sundar and Ravindra Jadeja from the way Simon Harmer was bowling today, using his height. When you talk about Washington Sundar, or the pace, the variation in pace that Simon Harmer had when you talk about Ravindra Jadeja from yesterday. So the South African spinners in that first session were brilliant, and there's a lot to learn for the Indian spinners. And it's a shame that I have to say this, that the Indian spinners have to learn from the visiting spinners on how to bowl on their pitches, with what pace and with what variation. And then, of course, came that magnificent spell from Marco Jansen. I think it's a spell to remember, one of the great fast bowling spells. Most of the wickets coming on short deliveries or short of length deliveries. But as an Indian cricket fan, as somebody who's covered Indian cricket or the Indian cricket team across the globe in the last 15 years, I have to say I'm very, very disappointed. And I think a majority of Indian cricket lovers are very disappointed today with some of the shot selection. We saw the way England batted in Perth, and this Indian team has decided, how can we do worse? Rishabh Pant has probably played the worst shot in Test cricket this week, and that's after what England did in Perth in a two-day Test match. So, uh, look, as a skipper, sometimes you just need to take some responsibility. Yes, there's a particular brand of cricket that Rishabh Pant plays, but not today, not in that situation. You were three down, four down after the first session. Wickets were falling in a heap. Yashasvi Jaiswal, half century for him. He had just gotten out. You don't play a shot like that immediately after the tea break. Overall, I think a lot of batters are getting away with poor strokes, poor shot selection, and not just in India, probably in England as well, or probably in other parts of the world as well. Maybe not in South Africa, maybe not in Australia, but in a lot of teams, in a lot of parts of the Test world, a lot of batters are getting away with poor shot selection in the garb of natural batting or expressing themselves. I think that's very disappointing. And I think this is a very stupid era of Test cricket, given the way India batted today, or the way England batted in Perth.
One of my great pet hates is the phrase, well, that's the way I play.
Yeah.
You know, if you've only got one way of playing, then you don't belong in Test cricket. I mean, again, I go back to the point that I started off with. India
Hmm.
were cooked. I mean, they were absolutely mentally gone.
Hmm.
150 overs in the so,
Yeah.
but Rishabh Pant getting off the mark, running down the wicket with and hitting Simon Harmer for six to get off the mark, and then charging down the pitch to Marco Jansen. I have to say. And I hope this is the last time that I mention it, although I probably will mention it again tomorrow. But I think the selection of Nitish Kumar Reddy was one of the most confused I've ever seen in 30 years of covering Test cricket. Apart from anything else, it resulted in Washington batting at number 8. Now, a Test match ago, India decided that he was good enough to bat number 3. And so he's now coming in at number 8 behind Nitish Kumar Reddy because purely based on embarrassment. Because how can you have a non-bowling all-rounder batting at 8? So they said, okay, you can go in at 7. I mean, you know, Washington is he made 48. He looked excellent, and kudos as
Yeah.
well to Kuldeep for sticking in with him. Kuldeep made 19 for 134 balls, and following up that, you know, that old saying, if you can't hit the ball, then do what you can do well, and that's block it. And good on him. You know, there's a role for that in Test cricket. But while you think about that, let's just we should have Marco Jansen a little bit higher up the pecking order here.
Yeah.
You know, 7 runs short of becoming just the fifth South African to score a century and take 5 wickets
Hmm.
in a Test match. You know, the first 2 times it ever happened in Test cricket history were by South Africans. Jimmy Sinclair and Aubrey Faulkner in 1899 and 1910. They were the first to ever do it in Test cricket. And it didn't happen again until Jacques Kallis, almost 100
Hmm.
years later, in 1999 and 2002 against the West Indies and Bangladesh. And it happened just recently, this year in June, when Corbin Bosch did the feat against Zimbabwe. That's how rare it is. And that explains his disappointment. But I have to say, as well as he bowled, and he did bowl, you called it a great spell of fast bowling. It was it was a bit galling to see on that pitch the 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 inability to cope with the bouncer. I mean, you know, Nitish Kumar Reddy was bounced out.
Yeah.
Ravindra Jadeja was bounced out.
Dhruv Jurel. Dhruv Jurel.
Dhruv Jurel made a horrible hash. You know, there he's got his chance in the Test team, and he's just made a horrible hash of a pull shot before he's even off the mark.
And even Rishabh Pant, for that matter, that delivery was, he gave the charge. That delivery was not there to play the shot that Rishabh Pant played. It was back of length delivery, perhaps not as short as the other deliveries, but I think 5 of at least the 6 wickets that have come for Jansen have come off short deliveries or just back of length deliveries. That just goes to say something. He spoke about the fact that there's decent pace and bounce in this surface, and South Africa were looking to exploit it. They had a plan. I didn't. I'm sorry to say, I didn't even see this plan from Jasprit Bumrah or Mohammad Siraj for that matter. Maybe they're mentally tired, having played non-stop cricket, or they're not getting that much rest really. Um, Look, you mentioned a few names for Marco Jansen, the list that perhaps he missed out. But let's talk about the list that he is now part of. He's joined Lance Klusener. He's joined Dale Steyn in picking up great Test wicket hauls in India. He's joined Nicky Boye, who's another. I think I love Nicky Boye. I mean, going back all those years when South Africa used to come to India, and he used to be the spin all rounder. I was a young kid then, and you were probably in the press boxes covering those matches. But Nicky Boye was fantastic. I mean, he scored a 50 and took a 5 wicket haul in the same Test match, so he's replicated Nicky Boye there, and he's joined a few left arm pacers as well. He's only the fourth left arm pacer, visiting left arm pacer, to take a 5 wicket haul on Indian soil. That just shows that how great a Test match Marco Jansen has had. We spoke at length about how well he batted yesterday. I think the way he bowled today, utilizing the pace and the bounce. He mentioned there was a dead period just before the tea break where the spinners were really bowling, and they were operating in terms of not giving away too many runs. And at that moment, to throw away your wickets when there's not much happening, it's absolutely criminal. You look at the way Sai Sudarshan threw his wicket away. There was no need to play that shot. Dhruv Jurel, not a very pointed bouncer, I can say, but just enough to encourage him to take it on and play ahead of square, in front of square, that he was caught at mid-on. And then you had Rishabh Pant and Jadeja and Nitish Reddy. Horrible shot making, horrible shot selection. But as much as you want to praise Marco Jansen or South Africa, we also need to talk about a deeper malaise. You mentioned Nitish Reddy's selection. Let's take them all one by one. Sai Sudarshan, he's not been given his chances. What is he even doing in that playing 11 if he's going to bat like that? That's not the way a test number 3 bats. The test number 3 who batted well in the first test, he's batting at number 8. What is he doing? Or what is the team management wanting him to do? Then Dhruv Jurel. Here's the reason. I saw one of the comments on our podcast yesterday, and the comment was, no, Nitish Reddy is not going to bat at 4. Dhruv Jurel is going to bat at 4. I absolutely agree with you. And of course, Dhruv Jurel did bat at 4. The reason why I said that Nitish Reddy would bat at 4 is because you are making a stopgap change for the injured Shubman Gill. That's why you brought in Nitish Reddy, a right-hand batter. So you send him out at number 4 because that's a stopgap arrangement. What is not a stopgap arrangement is Dhruv Jurel, because you've picked him for his batting skills at number 6. Now you've moved him up to number 4. Why? There is a certain way that Dhruv Jurel bats. He doesn't wait around. He will take on the bowler. But when 2 or 3 wickets have fallen, that's not what you want. You want somebody there to go out and do a job with patience, with determination, and maybe the makeshift number 4 would have done that job. Dhruv Jurel batted the way Dhruv Jurel bats, we lost a wicket. Rishabh Pant does what Rishabh Pant does, we lost a wicket. Then Nitish Reddy bounced out, Jadeja bounced out. So this is a batting lineup which is, as it is, struggling. Like I said, a stupid era of Test cricket where you express yourself in the garb of poor shot selection. But then it's been accentuated by muddled thinking from the team management. 2009, if you remember, Neil, Gautam Gambhir batted 5.5 sessions to save an overseas test for India as an opener. Did he bat at number 4 after that? Did he bat at number 3 after that? Did he bat at number 3 or 4 before that? No, because in those days, in Test cricket, a particular batter is given a particular role. Your top 5, at least, if not your top 6, are given a certified role in Test cricket. You cannot pack it with 5 all-rounders or 4 all-rounders and imagine they will do a job for you. Makeshift batters will not do a job for you in Test cricket. Test cricket used to be all about determination and gumption and a battle of attrition from session to session. It's not that anymore. And because of poor shot selection from India, because of poor thinking from Gautam Gambhir, the coach, the team management, maybe even the selectors. Look at the tweet Karun Nair has put out. He is crying in a corner somewhere, that he should be here. Yes, he should be. I absolutely agree. He should be here. So question mark on shot selection, on the muddled thinking, muddled batting lineup, on muddled selection. India has had transitions in the past, but this is really not going very well. And yeah, I've said this before. I'm not sure, his job as test coach is safe if India loses this series. But again, will the higher authorities or the people who matter take that call? Because India don't play a test match until autumn next year, I think August, September in Sri Lanka. So the WTC is looking too far ahead, or the WTC final, in fact. But yeah, this is absolutely a bad time for Indian Test cricket. This transition is not going really well.
South Africa don't play a test match for 11 months. They don't play until October next year. So that's a very, very, very long time. It's going to be hard to keep momentum going. We should mention, by the way, Aidan Markram as well, equaling Graham Smith's record, 5 catches in the outfield. Brilliant one to get rid of Nitish Kumar Reddy, running from slip to gully. I couldn't believe that gully was vacant, but Markram had it covered from slip. It was quite extraordinary. So let's talk about the end of the day then. I was momentarily very perturbed to see Temba Bavuma not make the decision immediately to bat again.
Hmm.
He was running off the field. He appeared to be heading, he wanted to get validation, which staggered me. I mean, it was just an
Hmm.
absolute non-choice. And I'm a proponent of the follow-on.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it can often be a very good thing, and and sometimes teams bat again unnecessarily. But in this particular occasion, the only argument for South Africa to force a follow-on was that there was only half an hour to go till the end of the day, so the bowlers
hmm,
could all have a night's sleep. But um, much better that they have two sessions off, or at least a session and a half off tomorrow. So why am I so adamant that they should have batted again? Because however small the risk of ending up batting last on that pitch, in case it does
yeah.
deteriorate, it's still pretty good after day three.
Pretty
It's
good.
not worth
Yes.
taking.
Yeah.
It's not worth taking. We go back to the famous VVS Laxman Rahul Dravid Kolkata test when India followed on and won. So you just remove that. So even though they were leading by 288, which might well be enough to win the game anyway, it's about time, not about runs. It wasn't about do we have
Yeah.
enough runs. It was about how many overs do we want to give ourselves to bowl India out and win the test match. And so I'm hoping if things go well and they have a bowling plan. They've got three spinners, I'm hoping that they'll have a bowl maybe 40 minutes before tea on day four. Give themselves 120 overs minimum
You mean
to win the
40
test.
minutes? You mean 40 minutes before lunch?
Well, yes, lunch.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
the second break.
Yeah. Yes, I think I agree with you. I think an hour into the second session tomorrow, South Africa will start thinking about bowling because yes, I think there was ample disintegration on the surface today. We started seeing some disintegration, especially towards the end of the day. As we had mentioned, the best batting passage on that surface is now over. I think it disintegrated about 10 to 15% today across the day. So, yeah, I don't think it was a wrong call at all. I think they should have batted on, and they have. I do understand that the openers ran back to get ready just in case South Africa, were batting or not batting as it were the case, just to get ready, to bat in the time that Temba Bavuma, used to make his decision. And it turned out to be the right decision. Yes, in India, on these surfaces, you don't want to be batting fourth. You mentioned VVS Lakshman and Rahul Dravid. What a great day for Indian cricket that was. And look at the day that we've had today. And I need to ask you, do you see any batters in that Indian lineup who could replicate what Rahul Dravid and VVS Lakshman did? No, absolutely not. It took a lot of gumption. It took a lot of fight to come out, bat an entire session, then go back and then come back again and bat out an entire session, and then repeat it and repeat it and repeat it for 6 sessions. And to keep that mighty Australian team in the field for 6 sessions, I don't think we have a batter of that solitude or that uh, mental temperament to bat out sessions, not just a single session, multiple sessions in this Indian batting lineup. And it pains me to say that because that is where Indian cricket is at the moment. And yes, there should be an inquiry at length. Uh, and look, it's very easy to say that we should go back to the roots, Ranji Trophy. I can name maybe a handful of players who could have been part of this squad. You have somebody like a Rajat Patidar or a Devdutt Padikkal who were part of India's squad for England when England came to play at home, not when they went there. Karun Nair, he was part when India went there, and he's not there anymore. Uh, Maybe you could add Rituraj Gaikwad. He scored some decent runs. Maybe you could have Sarfaraz Khan. He's just disappeared. I mean, the last I saw him, he was looking very thin and fit, and and he was scoring runs earlier on. But then he was not given a chance. So where has that gone? Yes, his overseas credentials were perhaps not that great in Australia, but we're playing at home. He would have scored runs here. So it's very easy to say that you go to Ranji Trophy and you pick up those batters and everything, but the fundamental is wrong. The fundamental is flawed. To play Test cricket, you do not play like that. And like I said earlier at the start of this show, England uh, they batted so poorly in Perth, and this Indian side just saw the highlights and said, "How can we make it worse?" And they absolutely did that. Yeah, it was that bad today from India, and I think it is one of the worst days of Test cricket that I've seen as an Indian cricket journalist or commentator, or in fact, as an Indian cricket fan in the last 15 years.
Well, there's always an equal and opposite, and as bad as it was for India, it was that good for South Africa. 201 all out after making 489. They finished the day 26 without loss, leading by 314 in total. And I won't say they've got the Test match in their pocket, but it's very close, and there's no way back for India now. Just before we end,
Mm,
I thought the timing was interesting from the BCCI to release the ODI squad today. There are a number of interesting selections.
mm,
It makes sense not to have Bumrah in there after a
mm.
Test match like this.
Yeah,
So but so KL Rahul captaining Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, is that
yeah.
a dynamic that interests you?
Well, KL Rahul has done it before. He was understudy to, I think, Virat Kohli, but he didn't get many chances there. But then he was vice captain to Rohit Sharma, and he, I think, led for what 12 ODIs or something. So he's done that job before, but that was in their absence and not presence. Um, I think Virat Kohli might have played under him. That was more under Rohit Sharma's absence and not Virat Kohli as much, but he did lead India in 12 ODIs earlier. There was no point going back to Rohit Sharma or even Virat Kohli for that matter. In terms of captaincy, you have to move ahead. Rahul
Hmm.
is a certainty in that Indian lineup. He is the first choice keeper, although it's very interesting that they've picked Rishabh Pant and Dhruv Jurel. So they're going to play as one of them has to be a backup to Rahul, but the other will he play as an out and out batter? You also have to think that Shreyas Iyer is not there, who is the designated vice captain. He's still recovering from that spleen injury, and he's probably going to be out till the IPL, which is when everybody recovers magically. Um, but yeah, I don't want to see Jasprit Bumrah playing until the New Zealand series, the T20 series in January. I don't want to risk him before the T20 World Cup. Um, Hardik Pandya is not there. He could have been a choice for captaincy, but obviously he's also absent. So I don't think there were many other options really. But I do think that Shubman Gill becomes very vital for India, and when he returns, if not if, when he returns, I do think that the team management, which is including the selectors, maybe need to rethink whether he should be an all-format player for India because he's very, very crucial for India. Would India have lost in Kolkata if Shubman Gill had batted? I'm not sure. We discussed that because the margin was only 30 runs. Here also, India is missing Shubman Gill very badly. He is their best test batter on account of how he scored those runs in England. So is he or should he be an all format batter? I'm not very sure. So I think there needs to be a rethink in terms of fitness, in terms of the cramped international schedule. There needs to be a rethink on that.
Okay, well, let's wrap up then. I was talking about South Africa declaration, and which was a bit presumptuous of me because I think there's every chance that they might be bowled out before lunch, the second break,
Very
and
pessimistic of you to say that.
there is a perfect possibility that could happen. I don't think it'll affect the
Hmm.
result, however.
Hmm.
So anyway, what I'm saying is this could be our penultimate following on India. We might well wrap the series up tomorrow if it doesn't go into a fifth day. Chances are it probably will go into a fifth day. But for now, Chetan Narula from me, Neil Manthorp, and following on India until tomorrow morning. Thanks for your time.